It is the beginning of a new year and I wanna start it by finishing all the unfinished projects in my unusually tall Minecraft base. In episode 5 I beat the Ender Dragon and said I would decorate the end portal room at some point. That point is now a little bit more than 1.5 years later. And for the theme I think I will go for some warmer colors. Usually end portal rooms are always dark and use a lot of purple or something like that. I don't want to do that. I want warm colors, maybe some wood and access to natural light. So let's start. And now with the lighting of the portal, the end portal room is finished. Only problem is I'm essentially never in the end. Maybe I will do something there at some point. But not now, because I have to continue with the second unfinished project. Then I suddenly got lucky, there was a lightning storm and I used it to get a creeper head. Well, where was I? Right. The second unfinished thing I want to do is the brewing machine. I built it in episode 16, almost a year ago. And one thing the machine can't do is brew the potion of the Turtle Master because I don't have any turtle shells, so I have to build a farm for that. For that I built the turtle shell farm by Techman88, and because I don't want all the mobs in my tower I built it far away. The farm works on a pretty simple principle. First I have 6 adult turtles which I feed continuously with seagrass. They will lay eggs on the sand and once the turtles hatch, they will try to go into the water, but because they're small they fall down and once they grow up they drop the turtle scutes. We have them here, 4 at the moment. There will probably be some more once those all grow up, but that can take some time. Now, much later, I have 31 turtle scutes, which is enough to make 6 turtle shells. And now, back to the brewing machine. Because now the machine should be able to make the potion of the the potion of the Turtle Master. Yes, potion of the Turtle Master. Slowness for resistance free. Very short duration. I only don't think that I have a use for it. But nonetheless, I finally made this rare potion. Right, in episode 31 I built the Warden Temple, and currently the only way to get in is through that hole in the roof. But I want to build a second entrance that can be used without flying. Where is it? Here. I want to take the stair, and the problem with that is that I have not yet built it. It's just a big empty hole where I placed the temple, but no real entranceway. That's something I have to build now. The main blocks here are deep slate and blackstone. I start out with a stairway all the way to bedrock, and from there I continue with a hallway to the Warden Temple, also using blackstone as well as skulk. And now this is the new entrance to the Warden Temple. Now I no longer have to use that hole in the ceiling, which I can only use with an elytra, and should I run out of rockets down here, I would have a problem. Okay, now back to the tower at the next project. In episode 33 I collected some rare blocks, including the deep slate emerald block, but I did not collect that one. I took it from my ore exhibition here, and now it's gonna have to find a new one. So here we are in an old mountain biome from version 1.17, and that is where I found the previous deep slate emerald ore, because it only spawned in version 1.17 at the border between deep slate and the stone in a mountain biome. So I did some mining and found not 1 but 2 deep slate emerald ore, and also some other goodies. In episode 34 I placed this map in my new storage room, and it's off center and I would rather have it up here, but that is a 5x5 space, so I need to enlarge the mapped area. And we did it. I enlarged the map and placed it in the center of the storage room. Right. So there's one more unfinished thing. At some point I collected some achievements and I prepared for the achievement It Spreads, but then just forgot it, and so I will do that now. Now that all of that is done, I can continue with the unfinished project from last episode, the museum. I obviously start with Java 1.0, followed by 1.2 with the new wood. Then there's 1.3 with the villager trading and the desert temples, 1.4 with the wither and the anvils, 1.5 with the additional redstone components, 1.6 with the horses and the terracotta. Now that that's done, I add another floor to continue. On the next floor I place update 1.7 with the new biomes. Then there's update 1.8 with the ocean monuments, followed by update 1.9 with the new end cities. Then there's update 1.10 which adds essentially nothing. And here for the Woodland Mansion update I have the first problem because the update added a few things. On one hand it added shulker boxes, which I added here. This was finally a solution to the inventory problem because basically with the amount of blocks it was impossible in the late game to get everything done with just one inventory, and the shulker box fixed that. But it also added the totem of undying and I don't have any, and so if I want to find one for the chest I have to trigger a raid. Okay, that's done, the Totem of Undying, and I also built the colorful update. At that point I built another floor and placed the next updates. There's 1.13, the ocean update, one of the best updates in the game. 1.14, Village and Pillage, also an amazing update. Then the update 1.15 with the bees, and then 1.16 with the new nether biomes. Then another floor to build the final updates. There's the Caves and Cliffs update, version 1.17 and 1.18, followed by the newest update, the Wild update, version 1.19, the update I'm currently playing on. There are also a few unfinished rooms directly next to the storage room. First of all, this one, which I want to turn into a bedroom directly next to my main storage room. This room is next, and I want to turn it into a small wheat field because I have not yet built a proper wheat farm. Okay, so that room is now finished with the wheat field. And let me check if the water comes through the bottom. No, it doesn't. However, I really do not like the ceiling and I want to change that as well. Okay, that turned out well. Now here at the entrance to the museum I want to place a little book that tells you what the museum is about, and maybe some form of desk for a museum clerk or something like that. Good. For the next room I have to go to the bottom of the base. That was close. Because down here is the old storage room and I have no longer any use for it. So let's take it down. Okay, what I want to do here is turn this area into a little cave and in the middle place a shrine for my first wooden pickaxe. Okay, and now in the crystal shrine I can place the first pickaxe I ever crafted, as I kept it. I also kept the sword which I used to slay the dragon, and maybe I will build another shrine for that at some later point. Okay. And lastly I built another farm for goat horns. And now that all is done, I want to give you a tour through the museum. Start here in the pre-in-depth area, the earliest version of the game. There was no gameplay, it was basically just creative. And you only had those basic blocks and there were also no real game mechanics. Okay. Minecraft in-depth, pretty nice. It added armor. And that's also Minecraft in-depth, added the tools. 2 separate releases for some reason. But it was so close together that it doesn't matter. Added the day-night cycle and essentially it also added, finally, survival mode. Which is basically the main way to play the game. So then we have several more versions in-depth. One that increased the size of the world, it was no longer very limited. One that increased the size of the caves, and they also added redstone, so that's pretty nice. Well, then we have another update. When the game was in the alpha version, with more updates, it added cactus, it added the nether, that's pretty big. Beta 1.0 only added the egg. There was a lot of technical improvements, which is why it's called beta and no longer alpha, but it only added the egg as an item. Okay, some more versions. Beta 1.1 added leaf decay and music discs. And here in beta 1.5 only, the trees finally become renewable with saplings. So before that you had to always find new trees, and that probably was a problem I didn't play at that time. We also have beta 1.2, 1.3 and 1.4, which add various things in the game. Beta 1.4 also added dogs, but I only placed a cookie here because I don't want to have too many mobs. Okay, beta 1.6, a little bit more decoration and maps. Beta 1.7 added the pistons. Beta 1.8 was basically the preparation for the main release. It added the fortress, but there was no portal. It also added villages, but there was nothing to do there. And it added mushrooms, but no mushroom islands. So, then the main release of Minecraft Java 1.0. It added the end, where you can actually complete the game. And it added so many other stuff. It added chanting, brewing, various different music discs and items for brewing. It added the nether fortress, which you need to go to the end and finish the game. It also added the mushroom islands. Then 1.2, 1.1 didn't add any item I can obtain in survival. It only added spawn eggs. But 1.2 added jungles, and it also added the different types of wood for the different types of trees. Before that you only would get the standard oak planks. That's also the version where I started playing, I think. Okay, 1.3, amazing update. It added trading. Those villages you all had were now finally useful. It also added more variants of stairs and planks. It added structures like the desert temple, the jungle temple, and it also added, obviously because it is trading, the emerald ore block and of course the emerald item. Also book and quill, although I don't think I used it much. So, 1.4 added the wither and walls. A lot of people were complaining back then about the walls because they said it was no longer real Minecraft now that there were placeable things that weren't full blocks. But there are always people complaining about stuff. It also added the Wither, but that was pretty late game and not many people actually got that far. It also added carrots and potatoes, so 2 more plants for your fields. And of course a beacon, but that also was pretty late game. Okay, the next version, Java 1.5. The redstone update, I think. It added so many redstone components and quartz for building. Probably one of the best updates for me because I tried so much with redstone and it was pretty fun. 1.6 added colored clay and horses, and now a lot of people build a lot with this clay. I didn't really do much in that update because you couldn't really obtain that in survival that easily. You had to find a clay patch in a riverbed and then burn it into hardened clay, now it's called terracotta, and then you had to dye it, so it was a lot of work. Okay, 1.7. The update that changed the world, it changed world generation and added at least 7 new biomes, I think. Yeah, the Mesa, the dark forest, the ice spikes, the savanna, the flower forest, the birch forest, and the deep ocean. Before that there was only one type of ocean, no, there were 2. Okay, 1.8, at that point I had stopped playing the game. This added the ocean monument, the slime block, rabbits for some reason, I still don't really know what the point of them is, and banners. Oh yeah, it also added all those variants for fences and doors. I think that's pretty cool. Okay, 1.8, no 1.9, the end update. It added the end cities with the shulkers and the end crystal to respawn the ender dragons, so it's a lot for late game, and I think a lot of people appreciate the content itself, but what many people didn't appreciate was that they changed how combat works. And on one hand I can understand it, because if you were a PvP player and you got really skilled at the old combat and now your skills mean nothing, that would be upsetting. But on the other hand, the new combat system is so much better. Before that you only had to spam with your mouse button, and if you could spam faster you would win, so that's not only is there no skill involved, I also think it's really bad for your finger and your tendons if you do that too much. It also added beetroots, the most useless plant in the game. Well, I guess it looks pretty, but that's all. Update 1.10, I don't know what it's called. It also only added 4 blocks, and of that only these really spawn and survive. Spawn naturally, the magma block, these and these have to be crafted, and the bone blocks technically exist in fossils, but no one ever finds one, so that doesn't matter. Version 1.11, the adventure update, added the woodland mansions. It added the observer, a great redstone component that makes a lot of builds far more compact than before, and it also added the shulker box, so there was finally a solution to the inventory problem that people had so much stuff and so little capacity to transport it. Also added the totem of undying and the iron nugget, although I don't really think the iron nugget had a use at that point. Yeah. World of Color update 1.12 added all the color versions of beds, concrete and glazed terracotta. I know a lot of people didn't like glazed terracotta. I think it looks great, but it is very situational. There aren't many builds where they fit in. Okay. Now one of the bigger updates, 1.13, the ocean update. Not only did it add strip locks, it also added new buttons, new trapdoors, new versions for the prismarine blocks, tons of items related to the oceans. It added at least 2 more mobs. It added the scute and the phantom membrane. No, it added more. It also added the drowned. It added the turtle and the phantom, so at least 3 mobs, maybe more if I can't remember it properly. And it also added so many new plants for the ocean, and of course it turned the 2 boring ocean biomes we had before into at least 6 ocean biomes, so totally great. That was the update that brought me back into the game. And it was followed by an update that was equally good, the village and pillage update. It completely reformed how villages worked. before that the professions were fixed and you had to essentially just hope you get the right profession when a villager grows up. Now, no longer, you can decide the profession with blocks. It also added wall, stair and slab versions of a lot of blocks. That was very welcome. And if I could add an update to the game, it would probably look like this. Completely revamp an aspect of the game. For example, pets. I would give dogs and cats on one hand stats, and on the other hand I would give them stats like the horses, and I would give them different variants. The cats already have different variants, but I would give different variants to the dogs. And I would also like to have the ability to give them a carpet to get various clothing for them, like for the llamas. And maybe add another mob as a pet, I don't know, a capybara, or maybe make rabbits tameable and give them a function or something. And I would also add a few more blocks. I would add mossy versions for all kinds of bricks. The prismarine brick should get a mossy version, and the mud brick should get one, the sandstone brick, the quartz brick, and they should also get wall versions for the quartz brick. I think that's really missing in the game, a white wall. And that's not the prismarine brick, but I would like a wall version for the prismarine brick one. Okay, so that's essentially my idea of an ideal update. 1.13, perfect update, probably the best in the game. Okay, 1.15, bees. Also a ton of bug fixes, but the more prominent part is that it added bees and the blocks relating to that. Okay, 1.16, the nether update, added tons of new blocks. It added netherite, which I only have represented here with a netherite ingot, because I don't really like the nether. I don't like to spend time there, and I don't really like to spend hours searching for more ancient debris to craft all the new netherite tools and armor items. So I have not collected them. It also added the bastions, new nether biomes. It's a great update for everyone who likes the nether. I don't, because I keep dying there. So, caves and cliffs, if you consider both releases as one update, it's probably the largest update. Java 1.17 and Java 1.18. The first part added all the new blocks here. Deep slate variants of the ores, various building blocks made from deep slate, dripstone, moss, a new tree, and rooted dirt, and of course the amethysts. And the second part, 1.18, released in the end of 2021, added the new terrain generation with a new world height, and that was great because that finally made it possible to change the world height with a data pack. Otherwise I couldn't even build the tower. Look how tall it is, I can't even see the bottom. Okay, let's go back inside. And continue with the final update so far, Java 1.19, the wild update. Pretty good. It added a new mob, the frog, with 3 new lightning sources. It added mud bricks, those are pretty nice. And it added 2 new biomes, the Skulk biome, which is in the ancient cities with some great loot and honestly amazing endgame content, because it's just so difficult to get there and to explore these. And the mangrove forest with a new type of look. I think a red type of wood was missing, so that's very appreciated. Overall, a pretty good update. Okay, and that's the end. Here's a stair to the next level. There's nothing. That's also where I will continue in the next episode by building a giant aquarium. Till then, have a beautiful time and goodbye.